500 feet away, the horrifying truth hits.
And suddenly we realized this wasn't a friendly airplane. And he literally was flying just a few feet above our flight deck.
It's a Judy dive bomber. The Big E's 20mm guns rattle out their response. But it is too late. Only a few feet above the flight deck, the Judy opens her belly door and drops a 550-pound bomb.
I thought, oh God, that's the end of us. I got blown up in the air and came down on my rear end. And I heard this voice saying, "Sir, can we abandon the battery? The bomb is down here." And there was this big, ugly bomb right beside one of our batteries.
The bomb miraculously has crashed through the flight deck, bounces back up and skitters across the deck without going off.
All these Marines with their white faces, big, big eyes, staring at it.
All eyes are on the terrifying object. Until young sailor Pedro Sandoval can't stand it any longer.
I look around, trying to see which way to get rid of it. So some of my friends helped me roll the bomb all the way to the fantail and drop it off the flight deck into the water. We didn't know nothing about whether the bomb was armed or not. We just went out there to get rid of it.
It is a direct hit at point-blank range, and it turns out to be a dud. Lucky Enterprise, once again, earns her nickname. But incredibly, the war is about to get even closer to Enterprise. The day after the dud bomb strike, Enterprise floats in formation. At the far side of the task group, carrier USS Franklin launches fighter strikes against the Japanese harbor of Kobe. At 7 a.m., an enemy dive bomber plunges from the sky. It hits Franklin with two 550-pound bombs, both fore and aft. Franklin is not as lucky as Enterprise was the day before. The bombs are devastating, causing gas planes to explode, sending fires throughout the ship, blowing men overboard. 20-year-old Edward Suto has seen action on Enterprise for over a year, but he has never seen anything like this.
We were there when she got hit. She had over 40 explosions. Scared you.
From over 10 miles away, the men of Enterprise can literally feel a series of thudding blasts as their bombs and torpedoes self-detonate in the fire. It's reminiscent of the damage the Big E took on at Santa Cruz. Only this is worse, much worse.
And I don't know how long it went on, but it was just hard to believe that a boat could go through such agony and still survive.
724 are killed, and 265 are wounded. Enterprise hurries to the rescue of the listing carrier. Enterprise patrols fly close cover round the clock to protect the wounded giant as she makes her way to the American base at Ulithi, 1,300 miles away. The ship is under tow, but incredibly, Franklin's engines are repaired within 24 hours. No carrier has ever received such massive damage and survived. She begins to steam under her own power into the Navy repair port.
When a ship comes into port, they generally go to quarters, which means the sailors line the deck and standing at attention so they're looking as shipshape as possible. But when the Franklin went in to that port, the Franklin had this little knot of men. It was all that were left, standing rigidly at attention. And that's all there was, but they were a proud-looking bunch.
As the American fleet gets closer to Japan, the enemy's strikes are more deadly. The Enterprise crew watches the gallant survivors of Franklin, and they know this could have been them. The next day, it will be Enterprise's turn. March 20th, Enterprise returns to her base of operations off Okinawa. They expect an attack from the same flyers who hit Franklin. They are not disappointed. The initial wave of Japanese dive bombers appears at 4 p.m. The first assault comes from a diving Judy. 2,000 feet above Enterprise, the bomber drops its 500-pound payload. The bomb travels the entire length of the Big E's deck before it hits the sea less than 50 feet from the starboard bow. It explodes in the ocean, sending jets of water over the flight deck. At 4:24, another Judy begins its dive. The ship's guns open up, taking her out just 500 feet away. But the Big E's fabled luck may be starting to run out. As the Judy dives, Enterprise is hit by 2 5-inch exploding shells from one of her own ships.
We got a lot of damage from our own anti-aircraft fire, and you can't really help that. It's the ship in line on the other side, why, that's tough luck.
The American shells hit the Big E's 40mm gun tub, killing 7 men and wounding 30. The explosion sets fire to a nearby Hellcat. Its ammo ignites. At the same moment, another Judy dives, heading straight toward the deck. At 500 feet, she drops her package. The bomb explodes on the port deck. Enterprise is on fire.
The whole island structure had flames going through it, and our platform that we worked off of was just like a griddle with a fire underneath it.
Damage control leaps into action, spraying fire foam across the flaming deck. Enterprise carries a damage control crew of 300, spread out in small groups throughout the ship. The Big E's damage control chief, John Monroe, had been wise enough to secretly requisition several times his quota of fire foam while back in Pearl. Now it's paying off. Within 30 minutes, the fires raging on deck are under control. 15 minutes after that, all fires are out. Enterprise guns continue to hammer at the sky. They shoot down the last bomber at 5:10 p.m. The skies are clear once again. With the flames smothered, it's clear that the bomb damage is surprisingly minor. And Enterprise is left with a strange souvenir of the attack. The fuselage of a Japanese dive bomber is lodged in the hull of the ship.
We look down, and the engine is stuck in the side of the ship, and of course the wave action of our ship going 20, 25 knots, that plane torn up a little bit more all the time.
The Enterprise has been hit, but she is still going strong. Her luck has held so far. As Enterprise heads for the Navy repair base at Ulithi Atoll, the Japanese are now creating a far more deadly fighting force. One that yearns only for death. Called Kamikaze, the Divine Wind. They are a potent threat. The first suicide attacks back in 1942 may have been ad hoc decisions by wounded fighter pilots. But by late 1944, they have become Japanese policy.